Hey, hey, Unstoppable You crew. Quick vibe check on a scale from 1 to 5. One being I'm feeling like I could take on uh, this cup of coffee beside me and not burn my lip, to I'm feeling friggin' fantastic. How are you feeling today? I want to know. All right, so today I am joined by the incredible and amazing Kinjal. She has become an incredible um, woman that I can confide in, talk to, and have really deep conversations about so many things. We met at a previous investor, and we both decided around the similar time that we were working together, 3.5 years, to pursue things that made us happy and brought joy to our life. And we are extremely, I won't speak for Kindle, I will speak for myself. I'm extremely grateful for the experience that I had while with the previous employer. But um, it has been a learning experience, both internally and how I connect with other people. So, Kinjal, I'm going to hand it over to you and have you talk about your amazing journey, and we'll see what happens, what unfolds.
Absolutely. So, my name is Kendall. Thank you so much, Drea, for having me today. And yes, amazing journey me and Dre had at our previous investor. And I'm so grateful for what they gave us. Amazing friendship. And, not just that, it's just like, whenever I first spoke with you at that time, it was a sudden instant relief, like I know you. Like it felt like, I know you from a long time. And it's amazing to see how that has unfolded, and I'm so grateful for that, what our previous investor has given us. So I'm so happy that we are able to connect and relate to so many things and yeah, like I know, like, it's going to be a beautiful journey, Drea, working alongside, brainstorming and just talking about life.
Absolutely. Kinjal, thank you so much for sharing. I also want to note that Kinjal is the proud mama of two adorable
Yes.
fur balls, Furbies, fur babies, Tofu and Zoe. Now,
Zoe.
I have a Zoe too, which
Yes,
is
that's
part of the
another thing.
connection. And we share the love of our Furby family, and it's so important to acknowledge that as well. So I just wanted to throw that in there because it's important to celebrate all parts of our family and
And
all
I
parts of the
agree.
things that bring us joy, right? So, you know, here's a thought for the audience. Have you ever found yourself caught in a vicious cycle of self betrayal? Have you noticed that you have been putting others before yourself, people pleasing and
Yes.
self sacrificing,
Yeah.
and even prioritizing the needs of others because of guilt? So, those are the questions that I'm posing for you today. And Kinjal and I want to be able to have this conversation and get two perspectives. And we want to be able to share our own personal journeys, stories here and there. But this is really to be able to connect with those of you that are listening and really be able to see that We can come from different backgrounds, different cultures, uh, different environments, how we grew up, the things that we were taught,
Yep.
and how we wind up in these moments. And today we want to specifically talk about breaking the habit of self betrayal. So, Kinjal, what, how do you define self betrayal?
You know, not being, I feel like in the moment when you say you want to do things,
Mm-hmm.
and then there comes what ifs. And then comes, I think I'm good just the way it is. I I think I can do this later. And later pushes away and it goes in the back burner. And that's why, I would say, defining self-betrayal could go different ways. Either like for example, let's say, eating certain things is not good for you, but you still do it.
Ooh,
That's the biggest betrayal in itself. You know it, but you still choose to do it. Choice. Versus for example, now I have a fear of driving because of my past trauma. It's not like I have not driven before. I have. And now, I have it's like I would say it's been what, 3.5 or 4 years since I drove.
mm-hmm.
And I'm scared, but I also know I'm done, just being dependent on someone. Though I have my anxieties, but do I want to run over that door of self-betrayal? Yes, I am wanting to. I am wanting to put myself in that situation so that whenever I don't have a choice, I have to just do it. So I am trying to, put my feet in a coldest water I can and be uncomfortable. I knowing that, oh, this is a very uncomfortable thing to do. Yet I'm gonna do it. Same with driving a car. I know, I will get a sense of confidence, sense of independence, go places. And yeah, I I think with those things, it will open the door of wonderful things, that's out there that I feel like I am missing out on. And I know that how important it is to do that. Well, the only thing is, yes, that is a self-betrayal. I know. I have been wanting to do that. I have been putting it on my back burner, but it's because of my anxiety. But then there's another self-betrayal, as I mentioned, something is not good for you, you still do it. That's a choice. By choice, you're doing it. And then you weigh okay, but you are self-betraying here because of your anxiety, because of your fear. But in my justification, I'm calling myself out. I know I need to do it and I'm going to have to run over that door and get it done.
You know, Kinjal, it's so important for those listening to know that any experience that you have as an individual,
Hmm.
being being willing enough to share that part of yourself, even with maybe past experiences where others have said to you, um, your anxiety is unnecessary. It doesn't make sense. You know, people have judged how you feel, and you've allowed in talking about betraying yourself, you have allowed other people to kind of tell you that what you feel is not valid. And so being able to right now in this moment share with the audience, the people listening, to know that our personal experiences, when they are um, treated by other individuals as if they don't matter, as or as if you're like over the edge. And I'm sure that there were many times in your past, even from these particular experiences that you've had, several years in between of this fear of getting into a vehicle, right? And being able to openly express that, knowing that right now in this moment you are supported by being able to express that, hey, this genuinely brings me anxiety because I experience this thing at different points in my life, which bring you into a state of, well, what if you mentioned earlier, what if this happens again, right? And so the first step right now, and you're doing something so powerful, the first step right now that you're acknowledging that, hey, this is something that's real for me, and that you've been able to openly share that with not only me, but now other people out there in the world are hearing about this, right? And so I want to really hold space for you in this moment and acknowledge that that is the very first step. Not so much in I need to or I should do this, because that in itself is also the language that kind of helps you to stay stuck in that, but that you've been able to acknowledge that you are stepping out of your own comfort zone by expressing how you feel about this particular situation, right? And so I celebrate you for that because that's a step in the right direction. And so Kendra just gave us an example of how self betrayal comes in many forms. And in this situation, you've betrayed yourself by probably saying things to yourself like, I'll never be able to get over this. And my anxiety is always going to hold me stuck here. But you've acknowledged that these things that happened are very real. They have a lot of power. And your first step right now is by actually talking about it. So I honor you for being able to do that. And that's important. And I hope that that gives you even more inspiration and desire to be able to take now the next step.
It is going to, because I'm gonna say it's, that's what I would like to tell people too. Like, weighing is very important. Like, some self-betrayal are not by choice. Like some self-betrayal are because of your anxiety, even though you want to do it. Like, until you're not ready, you're not gonna be able to. And speaking about that, like, addressing that itself will help you overcome those things. And it's okay to feel the way you're doing. Like, if it's okay if it takes you a few months, believe
Mm,
me, like as long as like you're feeling it and you're addressing it, you will get to that final destination. And there's a term for that my therapist had told me long back, like, that's a thinking trap.
mm,
It's thinking trap is like, more off, your anxiety and your depression, like, your thought patterns that are connected that can lead to
mhm.
anxiety and depression. It's it's damaging, because they impact our emotions. But at the same time, like you have to like no, like don't let it damage. Like when you say like damage it because it's a thinking trap and you want to just do it. Oh, it's just my thought. Let me just do it. No, like address it and be ready. Be willing to fully do it. Don't just take a leap of faith and just do it. If you because your anxiety is gonna get worse.
Absolutely. And I think with understanding that as individuals, we all handle things differently. And we
Yeah.
all choose to deal with our insecurities, how, our own self perceptions, what we think others are thinking about us. And we're saying yes, yes, yes to what other people are telling us that we should do instead
Mhm.
of really um, acknowledging own feelings about a thing
Yeah.
and being able to work through that at our own pace. Now, it's easy for someone on the outside to say, hey, Kendall, how long has it been? You talked about this, that, and the other thing that happened this time ago. Why haven't you been able to get over this fear of getting into a car, right? And you can say, well, you're right. But inside, you know, you're not ready to make that move just yet because it's scary. And instead of hearing from someone that they have been able to actually acknowledge that, hey, it
Yeah.
must have taken a lot for you to be able to say that, hey, there's something that I really want to work through, that I really want to be able to one day get into a car without fear of getting in, and how, whatever your language is. And for me, I like to think about the things that we say and to really sit with the words that come out of our mouths, right?
Yeah.
That are either empowering us or are diminishing from us. And so Kendra can easily continue to say, I'm not going to get in a car because I'm scared that I'll get into another accident. That's the wrong language to have. If this is something that Kendra, you would decide to say, well, I'm not getting in a car because I'm afraid that I'm going to get into an accident. Well, that's your truth in the moment, but that can be reframed, and you can change your language to say things that put you in a more calm state. I'm working each and every day to feel safer and less anxious about getting into a car.
Yeah.
That's it. Because you know, you've already expressed that you want, you know, that being able to take yourself to those places that you want to have fun at, or if you want to go to a, um,
Take my babies out, like
exactly,
by
just
myself,
anything.
like spending time, me and my babies, like, on a trail
Absolutely.
or just like do things, like be out there in the nature.
Right, right. And so those things is where you begin to give energy and focus to how that makes you feel, knowing that you will experience even more bliss and joy when you're with your animals because you're able to even go further than maybe your local neighborhood, right? Because you
Mm-hmm.
can drive to a trail that's much bigger and you can have your pets walk for even longer instead of being restricted to a dog park, right? So you begin to focus on, oh, it would be so wonderful, and I could see myself with Zoe and Tofu just walking down the trail and feeling so good about the fact that they can roam free and they're not restricted to a fence behind a dog park, right? And so
Yeah.
that's something that we can do. And that's an example of Kindle's specific experience. But when we acknowledge, which Kindle has done, you've acknowledged that there is a genuine fear because of something that happened in the past of it potentially happening again. And you acknowledge, because you said it out loud, that you're stuck in the what ifs. Well, what if this happens? What if? And another question that we could ask ourselves, well, what if it doesn't even? What if it isn't? Sometimes the fears that we get ourselves stuck in are not based on um, a real foundation of truth because we don't know what's going to happen. But when Kindle is ready, when you, the listener out there, are ready, when I'm ready to move past whatever story I've been telling myself, whether it's valid or not, then we're able to take on the next steps on our journey to be able to really, truly see progress. And it's a little bit at a time. We don't have to jump, head first and risk getting splattered because we didn't think, but we want to continue to
The first
honor
step, I think you
ourselves.
just do it.
Right, right. And so that is a part of this conversation today, is just talking about how we have been betraying ourselves by not believing in ourselves, by setting limitations for ourselves. And this is just a conversation about being willing to take the first step, to step out of that old story and step out of those old beliefs and that old perspective and start off small. And that's all you need to do. And it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks about your journey and what you're doing and how you're doing it. That's for you and anyone else listening to decide on their own for your own self, your own experience, your own journey. And so being able to acknowledge those things about yourself is a step in the direction of knowing and acknowledging that betraying yourself by doing things the same way you've always done them and continuing to get the same thing that you've always gotten. This is an opportunity for you to kind of step out of yourself, so to speak, and say, "Ooh, okay, I could try that." And no matter where you are in the journey, whatever you do is getting you closer to where you want to be. So, um, there's an important note I want to make is that when we are choosing to break the cycle of our past behaviors, in this particular conversation, betrayal of the self, um, this is essential for your personal growth, your confidence, and I believe in this sense, most importantly, your emotional well being, right? And so, Kinjo, what are some things that you can recognize about anything in your life where you have put yourself last?
I would say I have put myself last because of my choice. And I know like at one extent, like, at one point, like, I need to put myself first. And, going back to the whole anxiety that I have, like, I need to have my babies around me. I need to do things. And I don't go on a lot of vacations because I want them to go with me. And I, don't do things without them, because of like, whole thing tied to my first pet. And I don't want to like, again, like, have that experience. That was it. But now, like, I'm trying to reframe it. I'm going to do whatever I want, and these two are going to be fine, and they're going to have a great time as well. Because what's happening is like, they need their own space too, which like, I feel like I need to be able to be okay with that. Like, it's okay, like, they need their space, they will be fine. And I need to put myself first and go places, do things that I enjoy doing. And so that's the only thing I would say, like, I put myself like last and they come first, but it's by my choice. And do I regret it? No, I don't, but I don't take life for granted. And I feel like I also have a purpose that I need to fulfill. And I also need to focus on that, and as well as, still love and care the same way I can for them. And I feel like, giving that space to them will be good for them and be beneficial for them. I think they can't speak, but I think they know like what they need. So, um, so that's my self-betrayal. I would say like, putting myself last by choice. But yeah, like, I've been asked, do you want to go watch a movie? Do you want to go out for dinner? Do you want to go shopping? Do you want to go for, let's say, like 5 days vacation? Everything used to be no, point blank, no, I don't want to hear nothing. I
Right.
just said no, I'm not going, I'm not doing it. And then also, like, another thing I would say, I just turned into a homebody, like, not because of them. It's just like, how the lifestyle was. And, you know, that also impacted, like, my lifestyle, my health as well. So knowing that I need to put myself first, I took a step towards it. And
Mm-hmm.
I am in process, like, I also am, like, with like health stuff too. And then, like, along with that, I am also like, finding hobbies on side that I can, like, reconnect to again, that I used to enjoy and find passion for that again. So it's very, I would say, like, things that I put it on back burner, like, it just faded away, that the things I used to do, the things I used to enjoy. I don't know if I would like it anymore, but I'm still going to reconnect to it. I think it's going to lead me to something. And yeah, that was another thing, like, for example, like dancing. I used to love dancing. And yeah, I think like that's gonna be helpful for my health. Working out is very important. So not just walking, but also working out. So yeah, I am putting myself first there now.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Kinjal. Now, what what a lot of individuals wind up doing, and myself included in those individuals, is that the emotional impact that prioritizing everything and everyone else before you has on you as an individual. Number one, there's resentment. You're exhausted. And on top of all that, you feel unseen because you're trying to please everyone else and everything, up to and including, if you're not a human mom, as in like you have a human baby as your baby, you're a Furby mom. You put the needs of your babies, your family, the things that are most important to you before your own needs. And then the resentment that you feel sometimes goes inward, right? You find yourself exhausted. You find yourself feeling like everything that you're doing is not really being seen by people. And all that personal sacrifice by pleasing, and people pleasing in this situation also applies to our Furbies, because sometimes we find ourselves catering to the needs of everything and everyone else, and then we wonder why our health is failing, why our emotional well-being is failing. And when we're able to recognize that, hey, yes, I love giving to the things, the people, the places that are important to me, my all.
Mhm.
But where is Kindle in the process? Where is Drea in the process? Where are you, the audience? Where are you in the process? Because now you're resentful, and it's not really towards anyone except yourself. And self-betrayal shows up as personal resentment. It shows up as exhaustion. And we sometimes, when we have no way of expressing how we feel and what's going on with us, we bottle it all up inside. And then, as I was saying to Kindle before we started recording, you may take that frustration, that anger, that sadness, whatever it is you're feeling because you haven't been able to express it properly, you take it out on the first person that says something that triggers you, and then you have to go back and say, ooh, what did I just do? But you're also haven't given yourself the opportunity to feel all your feelings. And it's important that when you are finally able to open up to whomever it is that you trust,
Mhm.
that you allow yourself to feel all the feelings and do not disregard how you feel. If you're doing something and it brings up emotion and you're saying, hey, I don't know why I feel this way, why this keeps coming up. But when you have the right support, that someone will say, hey, it's okay. Go ahead and feel all the feelings that you feel so that you can move forward, right? And that feels good because you're like, okay, I think I can do that. And so you begin to do things that you know take you to the next step of where you're wanting to go on your journey. And you don't have to sacrifice your own peace and your own well being. But again, some of the things that as individuals we've dealt with that have not been addressed for a really long time, it's a hard habit to break. It's a hard habit to break because there's a lot of work that comes involved with that. But it's important to note that you have to celebrate. And that's the only time I'm going to tell you something that you have to do just because it helps you to move forward is you have to celebrate when you are able to take a baby step, a teeny tiny little step on that journey to make you feel the way you want to feel, and celebrate that and know that you have the space held for you if you have that. And if you don't, I'm saying reach out to me saying, "Hey, Andrea, I feel like you could support me." And I'm here. Um, I'm genuinely here to provide that space for you. So sometimes we get caught up with repeating the same old habits because of childhood conditioning, uh, societal pressure, the fear of rejection, and we continue to lose. Uh, we lose ourselves. And like I stated earlier, it does build resentment towards yourself, right? And that, boy, does that suck. Because then you don't know where it's coming from, but it's because of all these conditioned beliefs from what you've experienced from such a young age. And that contributes to being stuck in habits that are not empowering you to move forward, right? So some some steps to help you start prioritizing your needs without guilt. Um, Kindle, I would really love if you could share some steps
I would
that.
say, yeah, like steps towards how to like put yourself first, like
Mhm.
self-prioritizing. I would say like first thing most important is, you know, acknowledging it. That's the first step in itself. And then like, identifying what are your needs. Is it like your emotional need, physical need, or, having to do with your mental need, meaning like, emotions are different, like, compared to like your mental need, meaning like your anxiety, you're, leading towards your depression, what all. So you need to identify that. And then like, for me, it's my anxiety and, addressing that, like, first, like acknowledging it, and then I address like what my core needs are. Like it's towards like, enriching my mental health. And I need to boost up my confidence. I need to like, we are social animals and we can't. I used to be not a homebody, and I need to like, I am not a homebody, and I need to like be true to myself. I need to do things. I need to like give what my emotional and mental health needs is asking for me. So I'm going to listen to that. And then, another thing is set small boundaries. Like, let's say like if you have plans, for example, um, you have a workout plans, like, let's say like a Zumba class for
Mm.
me. And let's say there is a impromptu plan that came up. Hey, you want to go have this thing, like, go have a dinner, or, there's a nice festival event happening. Do you want to go? No, I'm not going to go. I'm going to, without over explaining why,
Right.
I'm just going to like learn to say point blank no. Like, no, I don't think I can come today, but thank you for the invitation. but I have something, prior commitment. That's it. Without going in detail and, being like polite as you can, like, and saying like, but I would love to, does this date work? And then at the same time, like, you're opening that door for someone not shutting on them. So it's very important, like, don't shut them out. Like, keep that door open. If not today, I would love to tomorrow. And then another thing I would say is, um, you can like reframe, like, as a self-care thing, like, which is necessary, like not a luxury thing, but you can, like, like you can't pour it from your empty cup. Like you
Ooh,
have to like,
so true. See, you can't give anything. I had a
yeah,
little bit of
that's
water,
all
so I
I
had to put
got.
my
See?
hands.
So it's like, it doesn't have to be like something luxury. It has to be more like soulful thing, like, that
Right.
fulfills your soul. Like something that your soul needs, something that your body needs. So it has to like be that because like, again, like, if it's a luxury thing, like, it's a materialistic thing, it's just gonna make you happy for 5, 10 minutes.
Oh, yes. And that doesn't go too far, right?
Too far, it does not. And then, well, there's a difference, like, right? If it's your goal, then that's like, celebrate that. Like, it's okay, like, you want to buy like you have a dream to buy a luxurious car. And you have been saving up. You have a amazing dream job. And own that celebration. Like, you did it. You did it for yourself. Do it. But then does it fall under your priority? No, that's not a priority. That's something you wanted. That's something you had a dream to get. That's still a materialistic thing, and you should celebrate it, not saying that, but then this is more of self-betrayal, like, self-prioritization, self-caring.
Hmm.
So coming back to like, step number 4, like, replace your guilt with self-compassion, like, affirming, like, that prioritizing yourself benefits everyone because at the end, let's say if you're not happy, no one around else is going to be happy. It's gonna be draining for them to have that conversation with you. It's gonna be draining to, coexist. So if you are not happy, then so are not others. So that's why, like, to for me to be happy, I am happy, but I want to be the happiest. So to do that, I need to go do, take care of myself so that, like, my babies, see that, okay, she's happy, we're happy, kind of thing. And everyone's happy at the end. It makes, yeah.
And that's so important. And I wanted to interject really quickly because
Mhm.
animals cannot speak to us, but they sure as heck can feel our energy.
Yeah.
And our family, our fur family, they cannot say, "Hey, mama, hey, papa, you're not looking so good. You're not feeling so good." But how they behave around you, they're trying to provide that support on an energetic level because they cannot
Mhm.
speak and
Yep.
say, "Hey, what's going on? What's wrong with you?" But they can definitely feel.
They will
And
look
that,
at you, they'll give you
yeah,
that eye. Like
yes.
they exactly know. Like they just know, they can sense it.
Absolutely. And so you have to be able to know that part of prioritizing yourself and
Yeah.
taking care of yourself is how you're able to really truly be there for not only your children and your husband and your wife, but your fur family if you have those. So this is really important to acknowledge is that it affects not only the human beings around us, it affects everyone and everything that is part of the things that we love to do, that matter, that are important. And so, for all you fur baby mamas and papas out there, just know that if you are serving from an empty cup, you can't really be there for your babies, your fur babies, the way that you want to be. For those of you with human children, whether they're little tiny ones or already grown, we can't be there for our families the way that we want to if we're constantly serving from an empty cup. We're completely emptying ourselves of everything, unable to really serve from a place of overflow because we're stuck pleasing people and responding to how others think and perceive us to be, and we wind up doing things against our own better judgment for ourselves
Mhm.
because we're worried that somebody's going to think less of us, and we then we get back into that self-betrayal habit of just not giving
And
a
that's
crap
where
about
we need to
ourselves.
stop, like, don't care about, like, what people are going to say. There are going to be times, again, like not everyone is going to be on the same page. Like, everyone has a different perspective. Respect their perspective, like, address it. Like, I get it where you're coming from, but this is my perspective and I choose to do it this way. This is what I'm going to prioritize. And that's like it's very assertive, like, be like very important to be assertive, like, when you're self-prioritizing, if you're taking that step, and if something is weighing you down, like, including people or anything, it's time for you to address that and let that go, and, surround that boundary, like, with people who have that same energy, same alignment. And also, like, sometimes, like, if people who are respectful and they agree, like, to your perspective, like, like, okay, I get it, like, though I don't understand, like, I not, it's not even about understanding, I would say, like, for example, like, though I don't understand, how it must be for you,
Mhm.
but I am acknowledging and I respect your perspective. So that way it's okay, like, if you hear that, that's okay, you can coexist. But if they say, oh, no, this is how it should be, I don't know, like, how can you even think like that? Okay, it's time to say bye then.
Absolutely. And I just want to reiterate those 5 steps that we we should really consider prioritizing without guilt.
Yep.
And so, step one, as Kinjal stated, was identify your core needs: emotional, physical, and mental. Step two is to begin by setting small boundaries and
Mhm.
practice saying no without explanation. Okay.
Yep.
No is actually a complete sentence. Remember that. Step three, reframe self care as a necessity. It's not a luxury, and you cannot pour from an empty cup. Step four, replace guilt with self compassion. Affirm that prioritizing yourself benefits everyone around, including your Furbies. And finally, step five, you want to surround yourself with individuals that respect your boundaries and choices, right? We don't all have to agree. We can agree to disagree, but surrounding yourself with people that are not going to impose their beliefs on you and what they think you should do is extremely important. And if you find yourself in those situations, you may want to reflect on whether you're wanting to continue in that relationship, or maybe you might need to, as Kinjal said just a moment ago, assert yourself and say, hey, we don't have to agree, but if you can't respect my boundaries, then maybe this relationship doesn't need to continue any further. And you have the right to speak up for yourself, because that is part of breaking the habit of self betrayal. And that is part of acknowledging that no matter what we go through in life, and what we experience. We are all unique individuals, and we react or we respond to different events in our lives differently. But if we can hold space for each other, I believe that's where true unity and true understanding and true growth comes, when we're able to do those things.
That's the
I
whole idea of being coexisting, like coexistence right there. Like, how do you learn to coexist?
Absolutely.
like, agreeing to disagree.
Yes. And that's it's just that simple. I want to share a very empowering uh, personal mantra for me. And it's been something that I've definitely said many times over and have had to go back to and reflect on what the true meaning of that is. And I wrote it down. And so I want to share this with the audience, um, because I think it's important that as we're coming to a close in this conversation, uh, that we can take something and just have something to really think about. The moment you stop betraying yourself to please others is the moment that you reclaim your power. I want you to really sit with that and think about that as this conversation comes to a close, for you to just, I'm going to repeat that again for you if you want to write it down, because it's something that you will need to really sit and reflect on for yourself. It's highly considered that you do that, you take that into high consideration, um, just as you begin this journey. The moment you stop betraying yourself to please others is the moment you reclaim your power. I want to challenge those of you listening to take one small step today, not tomorrow, not in 30 minutes, but today, all right, toward prioritizing yourself. And I would love for those of you listening to share your experiences or even a time that you stood up for yourself. Because in doing that, you begin to open the doors for the possibility of being able to step out of your old story that you've been saying for so long, that has kept you stuck, held back, and you'll be able to begin to see progress and see a new, more beautiful version of yourself simply by believing in yourself and acknowledging yourself and prioritizing yourself before anything else. So,
Fill that cup.
yes, I love that. See, that's a way to just end it perfectly. But Kindle, do you have any final thoughts that you'd love to share with the audience?
No, all I would like to just say is just keep filling that cup. Don't worry about it overflowing. It's worrisome when the cup is empty. So keep filling it is all I would say.
Oh, oh yes. And listen, y'all, I want to do a another vibe check. Okay. So, it is there's a storm brewing, both literally and figuratively around the world. But on a scale from 1 to 5, one, I still feel the same, but I'm willing to take the first step to feeling better. Or I do feel like I could take on the world because I've been inspired by this conversation to prioritize myself. How are you feeling? I hope that this conversation between myself and the incredible and amazing Kinjal has sparked some reflective thought processes that will lead you on a journey to really, truly prioritize yourself. I would love to hear um, your stories of what you've been able to uh, overcome by simply taking the first step towards your own personal healing, and share that. And if anything that Kinjal and I have shared with you today um, has touched you in any way, or you feel that it would touch someone that you know, share it with them and leave your comments. And I would love to connect with you. I also have a free gift that I would love to share with the audience, to connect with me and be able to begin your journey wherever you're at. And so if you're interested and you want, it's completely free. There's no gimmicks, there's nothing behind it, just it's my gift to you. Um, Leave that in the comments and I will get that over to you ASAP. So, as we come to a close, I appreciate all of you listening. Kindle, thank you so much for joining me today. And
Thank
I'm
you for
truly
having
looking,
me.
yes, and I'm truly looking forward to our next
Can't
deep
wait.
conversation on whatever topic we want to talk about
Yeah.
next.
You know it. We will
Yes,
know very soon what it's going to be. We already have something in works.
yes, we do. And so I hope you all have a wonderful day. And until next time, toodaloo, darlings.